They say the being fragged in Vietnam, that these accidental lieutenant deaths
happened a lot.
I mean, it's not like there's a ref watching going, I just saw you aim for VC but hit your own guy there, lieutenant, and then start yelling.
And it wasn't so much out in the field that thing happened with the fragging, but your base camp, every platoon also, you have a first sergeant or a sergeant major who's very rarely out in the field. First sergeants are never out in the field. They're running things back at the base camp, the logistics portions. So they're 99% of the time your senior enlisted man, like your first sergeant, is back in the rear. And it's the same with the officers with them sometimes. They're old school, they're old military. Back in the rear, they're wanting guys to shine their boots. And you know, you're in Quan Loy, the red clay, it's like the Georgia clay. Everything is red when you're around the Quan Loy area. Your boots are red from the clay. And guys would go back into the rear for 2 days or stand down or something, or they'd be back in there recuperating or something. And once in a while you get these first sergeants, these sergeant majors say, you know, you need to clean off your boots, wash, you know, put some polish. And when you're struggling to stay alive for a year and you're finally back in a rear area for 2 days of kick back, have a beer, the last thing you want to do is have some asshole tell you to shine your boots. And more than once, were first sergeants and sergeant majors, they call them fragged. I saw one back in the rear. They had that Quonset huts, little tin stripe buildings with the screen tops on them and stuff. I've actually seen a guy set up a Claymore mine.
No shit.
In front of the first sergeant's hooch and wait for him to walk out the door.
Holy crap! So we're talking serious.
And a Claymore mine is hard to describe.
Well, no, it's the kids. Unfortunately, our students know what they are. They're a rectangle with things you put in, and it has kind of a sensor.
And you blow it in, and it just goes this way. And I've seen them set it 10 feet outside of the sergeant major, the first sergeant's hooch, and wait for him to walk out.
Jesus. All right, that's pretty heavy. Okay, prisoners don't matter in this battle, right?
No.
Did they want you taking prisoners?
Probably. But that wasn't...
It wasn't the MO, right?
That wasn't the objective. That wasn't the MO. And I've said it in the classroom too, and it happened a couple of times. Once you're in a firefight, when it's over with, whether it lasts for a half an hour or lasts for 8 hours, you walk around looking for body count. And I was in E6 and I was a platoon leader. And I was platoon leader for 9, almost 10 months out of the year that I was there. My philosophy, if I didn't have one of my people wounded, I wouldn't call in a medevac helicopter for a wounded VC. If you were looking for bodies and you're getting a body count after a firefight and he was wounded,
It's got to be, because I know today we hear stories of Marine, well not Marines, the Navy medics, corpsmen, who are required, I'm going to air quote required, to trauma a situation. And if a enemy combatant is about to die and your soldier isn't as injured, technically they're required to treat
who do you take first?
The combatant. And how do you deal with that? And that's that oath you take, the medical, what's it? It's not the, is it the Hippocratic Oath? No. There's that oath you have to take as a doctor, which corpsmen of course take. And now you have this, they're your brother on the, it could be your brother on the ground.
I've never seen the situation come up. Of course, being the infantry, you're not back in an area where those decisions are made anyway.
True.
But I could, I won't say I would hope, but I could absolutely visualize that the wounded VC would be put aside. I would hope that would be the situation.
And I'm telling my teenagers, you have to understand, this generation, they are ruthless.
Yeah.
When it comes to the team aspects, you have the enemy and your team. This could be a football game on Friday night. Mm-hmm. They can all die. It's ruthless, and that's a football game. So the generation we have now, if they were to go to war, it would be very unemotional.
And I grew up playing sports, and just like you said, when Brandon High School went on the football field against East Bay High School, You didn't give a damn if you killed every one of them out there. But I can honestly say, sometimes that attitude changed in a situation like Vietnam.
Go further. Why?
Um,
How did it change?
you go from a situation where, like you're saying, a teenager in a high school football game. There's a lot of difference between, I wouldn't give a damn if I killed everybody.
Well, yeah, because
on
the
that
chances
side.
of actually killing
It's not going to happen.
Yeah, are almost impossible.
When you're put in a situation where is not only can happen, it happens every day. You sort of lose some of that feeling, because there's a difference between saying it, knowing it's not going to happen, and being put in a situation where you've got control over it happening.
Do you think
There's a difference between saying I hope I kill that guy on the football field and actually putting a gun in somebody and shooting.
Especially as a teenager.
Exactly.
Which a lot of the kids in Vietnam were teenagers.
Yeah.
There was a study, and it wasn't even. I guess it's just history. Because I'm gonna a tangent for a second, but I'm gonna hammer you with a pretty heavy question in a minute. The Einsatzgruppen. These were the Nazi SS soldiers who entered Poland, and would, from early morning until the evening, line people up and shoot them over and over again. They began to have such psychological problems that even Hitler and Heinrich Himmler would allow them to opt out with no penalty if they chose to. And I always, after reading this history and this data and the study, I always said that definitely shows that there's human beings having an aversion to killing.
Yeah.
And so when you brought that up, that to me, it solidifies this idea that you can hate that person and they could be shooting at you, but there's still a side effect to shooting someone. And does it get bigger? Most people think once you start fighting and you start racking up numbers, it goes away.
No, it doesn't go away. And when you talk about the movie, and you some of the movies depict a hate that's so bad, like in the movie Platoon or something, where you see him.
Well, Oliver Stone is pretty.
He's pretty off the wall with this kind of stuff.
Yeah, he goes far.
But yeah, when you're in a situation like we were in, and you get in a firefight, first of all, half the people that you might kill, you don't even see them when you shoot them. I mean, it's not like you see them.
A leaf flaps where your bullet went.
Exactly.
You find them later.
You don't see somebody standing 10 feet away from you, and you shoot them. Now in the movie, in the Eye Drain Valley, there were situations where the combat
really
was that close.
Combat.
And that's just a situation of survival instinct. You shoot. If you captured that guy and said, okay, I'm going to stand you up over there and blow your brains out because I don't want to call in, no. I don't think I ever got to that point to where I just wanted to kill somebody so bad that I could just let them walk up in front of me and shoot them between the eyes. No.
Do you think there could ever, I'm going to stretch it further, do you think there could ever be a situation, so take Pearl Harbor, that one, my grandfather, I bet you he could just keep handling Japanese people. And I attribute it to anger. Now, he never got the chance, so it's still conjecture like your football game. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly.
He was a tail gunner. He very rarely shot at people on the ground. You just got to watch fireworks, he would explain. So, do you think in the future that we'll move away from this? This idea that first off, yes, teenagers still very passionate. But you yourself even said you can think that it's going to be easy. And then no. It doesn't get easier, it gets harder.
Exactly.
Do you think human beings will ever move away from this aspect? Or do you think it will, because war is such a win or lose thing, that it'll always be there? We'll always have to take each other's life in war.
It's always been that way. And will it change? No, I don't think it will change.